So you've had the experience. You went deep into the explorations of your own consciousness through psychedelics, through breathwork, or through any other modality that allows you to access altered states. But your life, after you've come back and returned to your ordinary self, didn't really change. In the experience, it all made sense. You were like, I will never be going back to how I was before. You've had these aha moments, these insights that you've gathered that are so precious. But a few days later, you return to your Monday morning and the same old patterns return. You ask yourself, why can't I live what I saw in this altered state? Why can't I hold on to that and bring that back down into my daily life? You've seen the truth, but you're still not living it. You're still not embodying it. So, hey, I'm Virgo, and in this video I want to talk about why your psychedelic insights, why these insights from altered states aren't changing your life, and what actually does. Because I've been through the same stuff. You know, I've gone into so many psychedelic experiences. One story that I want to share with you right now is that one week I decided to go into 5-MeO DMT for every single day of the week. I started with quite a low dose and then worked my way up to higher and higher dosages. And what it showed me was so precious. I had the realization that I want to live slowly, I want to live consciously, I want to live in alignment with my highest excitement and really do what I love to nourish my spirit. I've had all these really great realizations. I'm like, my life is never going to be the same after that. But without the conscious attention on the periods afterwards, I slowly just slipped back into my old habits. I was overworking again, I was stressing out, I was rushing around, I was doing things that I thought I needed to do that were not in alignment with my highest excitement. And then I was like, wait, what's happening? Like, why can't I live what I saw? I know what I want, I know how I want to live. It showed me how I want to live, but now I can't seem to access that same state of consciousness. And you know what many people do right at this point is that they think they need another experience. They think they're going to sign up to the next ceremony. They do the next retreat. They do the next mushroom experience, 5-MeO experience, whatever, to remember again. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that per se. But there is another way that allows us to fully see and live what we already know. And another experience is not what is needed for that. So, I think most people in the psychedelic community, most people going repeatedly into altered state experiences are stuck in a trap. And I call it the insight trap. It's that you have an insight, right? You gain the clarity in the experience, but then that clarity drops away, you find yourself in a state of confusion again, and then you hop to the next ceremony, to the next experience, and that cycle repeats. And you're just looping with more and more insights, but without any embodiment. But you're not stuck in your day-to-day life because you haven't seen enough, because you don't know enough, because you do, right? You're stuck because your life cannot hold what you have seen. Your body cannot hold what you have seen. And insight feels like progress. It feels productive to go into another experience and get another insight. But without the proper integration, it can turn into a form of avoidance. So what I did was quite counterintuitive. After a while of about 9 years of just consistently pushing the psychedelic edge and going into ceremony after ceremony, my body was breaking down actually, but I was also like, wait a second, I want to do something different. And so I did. So in my story, I took a break from all altered states for 1 year to actually let the insights land. And I did a darkroom retreat silently hoping it's gonna give me another altered state or another insight. But what it showed me was that the appreciation of the ordinary is where it's at. It dropped me deeper down into just an ordinary perception of life, right? And so I went through this year not to go deeper, but to actually live deeper in every single moment. To see the life as the ceremony and not just go into another high. Because insight is not integration, right? It's really critical to understand that altered states do not equal altered traits. You can go into many psychedelic experiences, but still be challenged by the work that you do. Feel misaligned with the environment and the location that you live in and the people that you surround yourself with. Still have this tension and this trigger in your relationship with your mother or with your partner, right? That's where the real work is at. It's great to see all that and forgive yourself and everybody else in psychedelic space, but to apply that and to live from that space in your day-to-day life, that's the real challenge. The insight is the seeing everything clearly, right? And your processing. But integration is the becoming. It's the embodiment, right? You can see the truth. You can understand everything conceptually, but still not live it in your day-to-day life. Because your identity and your direction and your nervous system capacity cannot hold what you have seen. There's no structure for you to let the seeds of your psychedelic experiences blossom, right? And this is what I want to share with you, right? It's a framework that I call psycho-optic engineering, right? Psyche meaning the mind and optic meaning the vision. So engineering the vision of the mind in your day-to-day life. And what I've seen is key for most people that I have coached in my coaching journey is that self-doubt is going to be transformed into self-trust. So we have a clear identity alignment, that feeling lost or feeling super excited by too many possibilities is going to be dialed down to one clear direction and one clear vision, kind of like a calling clarity that allows you to be in the world, and the capacity to follow through on that with a regulated nervous system, with a calm nervous system that allows you to chill out, relax, and move forward powerfully. So I want to briefly explain what these three parts are about and what you can do to actually implement them so your insight can become embodiment, right? So in regards to identity alignment, it's really about building that self-trust. It's about trusting yourself, not just to go into deeper and deeper layers of consciousness, but to trust yourself in each and every moment of your day. To have clear decisions. And what helps with that is our clear values, right? Really knowing what's truly important to you in your day-to-day life allows you to have a decision-making mechanism to see, I want this, but I do not want that, right? If you value freedom over family, that has radical consequences here for your decisions if you live in integrity with your values. And that slowly builds up your sense of trust within yourself. The second aspect is a direction. So having a clear vision of where you are going, right? Having kind of like a purpose hypothesis that doesn't allow you to think more and more, but that defines a direction and defines action steps for you to move forward and to experiment with life. That has to do with areas where you feel alive, things that you love to do, that ignite that fire of passion within yourself. It has to do with things that are in service to something that is greater than yourself. So it doesn't become this egoistical journey, but a sense of selfless service, a sense of giving yourself to the cause. And it has to do with what the world needs, right? Where you can actually serve, what makes you feel alive, and what you can receive back from as well. And the third aspect is the nervous system capacity, because going into psychedelic space over and over again, even though it might be healing for the body, it is also stressful for your body, right? It's a stressor for the body, and to increase your state of consciousness requires a body that can hold that. So nervous system capacity is really about implementing the calm and protecting your energy, because when you open yourself up in psychedelic space, more and more and more, you become more and more sensitive and open to the energies around you. So you want to set boundaries in regards to what you let in, and you want to set regulation rituals, kind of like a sacred protected time that allows you to regulate your system. Alright, these are the 3 steps, and without these, I find that the insight from psychedelic space fades away, and that with these, the insight from psychedelic space gets transformed into embodiment and into integration. So if you feel the frustration between what you know is true, what you've seen in psychedelic space, and how you're actually showing up in your day-to-day life, then there's nothing wrong with you, right? It's just that you maybe haven't put an emphasis on the actual task of integration, of turning altered states into altered traits. And if you're curious to embark on that journey, I am opening up 3 one-on-one coaching spots at the moment. It's just 3 limited spaces where I work with you one-on-one, and we move through these 3 steps together. We define who you are, we find out who you are and what it means for you to live in integrity with the insights you've received in psychedelic space. We define where you're going and how you're actually going to get there, so your work and your environment is in alignment with who you are. And we figure out how you can support yourself and nourish yourself along the way, so you can actually follow through. So if you're curious around that, then you can book a call. There's a link in the video description, or DM me the word pathway on Instagram and we'll start a conversation. So thank you so much for watching. I love you all. And if you're curious about a deeper masterclass on psychedelics, then you can watch this video next, and I'll see you over there. Much love.